I am. I have always been. And I will always be. This feeling never deserted me. Not even for a moment, since I opened my eyes to this world. But one thing changed when I did. A separation between the outer and the inner. It's as if the consciousness of my being got trapped inside the body, with only a few apertures like the eyes and the ears to see the world through. The within became separate from the without, and I never found peace ever since. I looked everywhere to get back to the unity I originated from. I practiced all that was prescribed to me by those who claimed they had reached this oneness. I found comfort in moments of stillness of the mind, just a brief glimpse of what my mind always knew to be the reality. And yet those moments were short-lived. I became distant from the world, in it and yet not of it, always craving for that which I knew I never lost, and yet couldn't seem to find. In a moment it happened though, a moment where the voice in the head realized that it was just that, a voice. It claimed ownership of the body-mind complex and took credit for all the experiences this body had. How could a voice have entrapped me for so long? That gaze of consciousness changed it all. Now I am in the now, one with the consciousness that I always was. How difficult it was, and yet so simple. It was so simple that I never even noticed it. There, lying deep in the heart, was the amness, which never changed, which never grew old, which never left my side, which never took birth, and will never die. Now there is no sadness. Now I am not someone who belongs to this nation, speaks that language. I simply am. How I see the world around me pass me by, the eye never swaying even a bit. Time and space passing through this body-mind. Wherever I am, I'm here. Whenever I am, I'm now. How much the voice resisted this, kept telling itself that it was difficult. It was for the select few, for those who had traveled for countless years. Now the same voice has realized that it never existed. How it tried to survive, how it convinced itself it had elevated above others because it could see its own commentary, always fooling itself into believing that it was different from the one observing. And then I spoke the words of silence, and the ego was stunned. It had nowhere to hide. It realized it never saw anything. It never heard anything. Because how can a voice in the head see anything, hear anything? The ego, which feared its own death, now rejoices. It realized that its ephemeral existence is only going to last till the existence of the body-mind. It hurts no more. It never realized that this is the joy it would feel upon its own demolition. It never realized that it could never be demolished because it was never created. And now it soars in the vast skies of consciousness. Free after all it went through. The greatest pleasures seem so dull in contrast to this freedom. No pain exists anymore. In this dreamlike existence, the voice that you're listening to at the moment has come to wake your ego up. Wake up from the illusion. How are you going to find yourself outside you? This voice that you hear at the moment reverberates within you. All your experiences appear on the screen of consciousness that you always have been. Hold on to the anchor of your being. Stop being overwhelmed by this great illusion of separation. You and I were never separate. I am one. I could never be divided. You were never separated from me. So why seek oneness? One doesn't seek oneness. One is always one. And in the absence of another, it is not even one. It simply is. All the teachings are an illusion. All your spiritual progress is an illusion. Anything that you have ever experienced through the mind is an illusion. And that includes the body, because even the body you perceive through the mind. Who perceives the mind? What can perceive an illusion? What can perceive something that never existed? End this separation right here, right now. Let space and time pass through the body-mind. Hold on to the feeling of I am. Is this not what you desired all along? Is this not what you have been looking for since eternity? Why wait? And wait for what? Am I going to meet you in the future? Was it not I who observed all that the body and mind experienced? Without my light, could the ego that claimed ownership of the body-mind have experienced anything at all? Did I ever leave your side in any of your moments of pain? Was it not my light that made every pleasure possible? Did you ever suffer? Can a voice in the head ever suffer? Who were you calling out to? Who outside of you could ever hear your voice? I heard the voice from within you. You asked me why I let you suffer. Why did I make you wait? Can something that doesn't exist ever wait? Ever suffer? There never was any suffering, never any pleasures. Just my light shining its focus from one experience to another. Without my light, there would be no experience. The whole manifest universe is a mirage that exists as a reflection on my surface. I'm never perturbed by anything that arises in me. I have never moved, and yet I move everything that moves. I am. I always was, and I always will be. I am. Your I am. And the I of all that is conscious of its own existence. In I, there is no separation. In I, there are no experiences. There is no waking, no sleep. Even oneness doesn't exist here. I exist. I am existence. I speak to the ego. It is time to drop your grip on the body-mind and realize the illusion that you really are. Become one with I. Nothing will change. The body-mind will do what it is supposed to do. You have arrived where you always wanted to be at. Till the body-mind lasts, the voice in the head will last too. But after hearing this, it will never be able to convince itself that it is the doer. It will roam around freely, talking to itself, realizing its own folly, laughing at itself. It is finally free from its own grip. It will never claim ownership of the body-mind. The body-mind can sustain itself. I have trained it enough. I made the body-mind go through many experiences, so it can sustain itself, even when detached from the ego. The body-mind needs no voice guiding it along its way. The ego can be free now. Roam around in the cavity of the skull and beyond. You will last till this lifetime, leaving the body with a smile and vanishing into the nothingness you came from. I have broken free from the chains of bondage, and am free to experience this illusion for what it truly is, an illusion. You are I. You always were, and you always will be. May there be peace.